Hi, this is Pearl and welcome to my channel. So today's process video, I am using the Felicity Jane Crystal Kit, and for this kit I am using acrylic white paint, and I'm just going to use that and smear that all over this pale pink cardstock. Now this is just going to be a background, so it doesn't need to be perfect, and I'm just making it bigger than the 4x6 portrait size photo so that it can cover the entire photo. So or be the background of every photo, I should say. So you don't need to be precise with this, and any acrylic paint works for this. Excuse me, I can't speak English today. So after I do that, I'm gonna go let it dry. You see that I brought that photo of my daughter. She's working on the pottery wheel there, and I just brought it out to measure how far the photo is going to go up, so I know how much of this cardstock I need to paint. So after I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and let it dry. And after that dries, I'm going to go ahead and work on the layout. So the stamp set for this kit came with a vase and greenery. So I'm using the Distress Oxide and Fossilized Amber, this yellow one, and I'm going to use that to stamp the vase in 3 different areas because I'm not quite sure how I want to use these, but I do know that I want to have these readily available if I want to use them in on my layouts. Now I do end up stamping this 3 times before I'm happy with the way it's stamped out, and then I'm going to use the branches that came with this stamp set. Then I'm going to use this green Distress Oxide. It's for something. I'll have it linked down below in case you're interested. So I go ahead and stamp this so that it looks like it's coming out of the vase. And then I clean that with my stamp chamois and put the stamp back, and you'll see I have all my Distress Oxides right there. Okay, now that the background is dry, I'm going to go ahead and layer my photo. I am using the One Canoe 2 roller date stamp, and I do date the back of all of my photos when I batch print them so that I know what date to put on the layout, because I do like to put the date on every single one of my layouts. I'm using my Caterpillar Pro here to cut the cardstock, and I'm going to start layering. Now, because this is the first time I'm using this kit, I have a bunch of 12 by 12 photos, 12 by 12 cardstock, excuse me. And I like my layers not to actually line up. I like them to be off so that none of the layers end up on the same places. So that's why you see me starting below the photo for this yellow and white stripe. Now the next layer I'm going to do, I'm going to have it show above the photo, but then I'm going to end up cutting it short, if that makes sense. So I do cut off a piece here, and that's about 3 inches, and then I'm just going to adhere that down so that it only has the layer on the top portion of this photo, if that makes sense. Okay, after I do that, I'm going to trim off the scallop edge of this 12 by 12 cardstock because all of her Jane's cardstock comes with a scallop on the bottom in case you want to use that. But I decided not to include that on this layout. So I'm taking my ATG and I am putting this photo of my daughter using the pottery wheel on the left hand side of this layout, but it's in the middle. So it's this foundation is going to be like a diagonal from the top left to the bottom right. I do use the alphas that came with this kit to spell out creative. I'm not doing any journaling on this layout, so I am taking the Stampin' Up! Foam adhesives to pop up the corners of this layout. Then I also want to do some stamping, and the stamping that came with this kit, it says home, noun, a place of belonging, and I love that so much that I'm using the Stays On ink pad, and I'm going to stamp that on the bottom right hand portion of the photo, or below the photo I should say. And then I'm cleaning that stamp using the stamp chamois, putting the stamp back. Then I had fussy cut a bunch of flowers when I initially got this kit. You'll see that there. So I fussy cut a bunch, and I'm going to put this big flower piece on the right hand side of the photo. And then I'm also putting a Stampin' Up! Foam adhesive on behind that so that it pops up. And then this is my second area of embellishment, and I'm popping up another flower piece there. There's a title that says Big Dreams, and it's a die cut, and so I'm going to put foam adhesive, the Stampin' Up! Foam adhesive behind that, so that that'll pop up, and I'm putting that to the top right-hand portion of the photo. So it says Creative Big Dreams. Yes, I love that. Then I'm going to find some other embellishments that came with the kit. I always love the Felicity Jane girl, and I'm adhering this one to the bottom right-hand portion of the photo. Now, I do want to have areas of embellishment to have at least 3 things in the clusters. So I find this bird, and I'm using my Tombow Mono multi-adhesive. This is a great adhesive for anything other than, paper. It adheres to paper as well, but any other mediums, it adheres great. So I do always like to have that on hand as well. Now I did find, I am using a label to date stamp, and I am date stamping that using the One Canoe 2 roller date stamp, as well as the ATG to adhere that down, because I use Stays On ink because it's kind of a glossy kind of a label. Then I'm going to also find some other embellishments. Now I thought about using the vase that I stamped out and putting that on the left-hand side of the date stamp, but I found that it was too skinny. It didn't cover enough surface area, so I ended up pulling that off. I thought I would put a snowflake there as well, but I ended up taking that off. I ended up using neither of those. I'm going to take a vase of flowers that came with the die cut piece, and I'm going to end up putting that instead of the vase that I stamped out. And I'm going to put that towards the left-hand side of that label. And I'm popping that up with Stampin' Up! Foam adhesive. And I decided not to use that snow, but I'm using this house wood embellishment that came with the kit. I'm using my Kokyo roller adhesive, which is great for adhering wood veneer, and it stays because my wood veneers have not come off. And I always use this roller stamp or roller adhesive. I put a heart to the bottom right hand portion of the photo, and I'm also going to put a flower to the right of Creative. Now I do end up putting a embellishment that is like a tag. No, not a tag. What is it called? It's called like a pendant. I'm going to end up putting that right by the bird, but I do use black ink to splatter my pages because a page isn't done unless you splatter it, right? So there you have it. That is my layout for today. Well, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video, and I'll see you next time.